Alright, so in this video I want to go over the bonus question that was on your energy quiz. This question is going to deal with kinetic energy, and specifically, given the kinetic energy and the mass of an object, can we figure out the velocity or the speed of the object? And I can promise you right now that there will be a question similar to this on your test. It might be a bonus, it might not be. So it is to your benefit to watch this one because it'll help you out with kinetic energy and things like that. So just to review here real quick, we know that we are going to be dealing with kinetic energy, and we know that kinetic energy can be calculated by doing 1/2 multiplied by the mass of an object multiplied by the velocity of an object squared. So if you have mass and velocity, realistically you can figure out the kinetic energy that the object has. So remember, kinetic energy is moving energy. So anything that is moving is going to have a little bit of kinetic energy. I take this marker right here, throw it across the room, before it hits the ground, it is going to have a lot of kinetic energy because it's moving. So we have that there. Let's read our scenario here. So our bonus question is, what is the velocity of an 8 kilogram lead shot put if it has a 484 joules of energy? So we know that we have 484 joules of energy, and we know that our shot put is going to be 8 kilograms. So let's define our variables here real quick. We just said this was 484 for our kinetic energy, and we had a mass of 8 kilograms. We are going to be looking for the speed or the velocity of this shot put, so I'm just going to write a question mark right there because we don't really know what that's going to be yet. But we'll figure it out here. So the next step, once we've defined our variables, is plug back into the equation. What do you have already? So we should have that 484 is going to equal 1/2. We have a mass of 8 kilograms multiplied by velocity squared. Remember, we are solving for velocity in this case. Now, I know if you want to follow order of operations, you're going to want to deal with this exponent first. In my opinion, though, I really wouldn't want to deal with that first because it actually will make things a little bit more complicated. Well, not really, but it's just a little easier to wait until the end, in my opinion, to do that. It will hopefully be a little less confusing. So the very first thing I would deal with is you have a half, or you have 0.5 here, multiplied by 8. Let's take care of that first. So if we simplify everything out, we should still get that 484 is equal to, well, 0.5 multiplied by 8, or dividing by 2 basically, is going to give us 4, and still times v squared. Now I want to get v by itself, so how do I undo multiplication? I should divide this 4, but if you divide one thing on one side, you must do the same thing on the other side. So 484 divided by 4, that should give you 121 is our answer there, and that is still going to be equal to v squared. Now, on the test, or sorry, the quiz, many people stopped at this point, and I was really happy that most people got to this point, and they solved that v squared equals 121, but there's one last thing you got to do. You can't leave that exponent there. We do have to get rid of that squared. So how do we undo squared? We basically do square root. But again, same rule applies. If you square root on one side, you must square root on the other side. And the nice part is, 121, you take the square root of that, it's a nice whole number, and it is going to be 11 as your answer there. But don't forget, no naked numbers. What are the units here? What did we solve for? We solved for velocity, so we measure velocity in this class as meters per second. And you can double check that as well, but we should be there. That should be the answer there, and it should be all good. So 11 meters per second should be the final answer for this one. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit.